I'm 23 years old, and I've been watching college football for the last 15 years of my life. And the program that I've always felt was the weirdest watching this sport has been Auburn, because every time they're supposed to be good, they suck. And every time they're supposed to suck, they end up being good. It's just weird. I've just never seen a team have so much random success than what Auburn has had over my lifetime watching college football. In 2010, Cam Newton broke onto the scene and led Auburn to the national championship. 3 years later, Gus Malzahn, he leads Auburn right back to the BCS championship game, which they lost that game in the closing seconds to Jameis Winston. Then in 2017, when it looked like Gus Malzahn was about to lose his job, he was on the hot seat after they imploded against LSU. What does Auburn go on to do? They beat number 2 Georgia and number 1 Alabama to make it to the SEC title game that year. When Auburn has low expectations and you expect them to be bad, that's when they all of a sudden play their best football. And this season, Auburn has the kind of team that can pull an Auburn kind of season when they shock the world, when the world doesn't expect them to be good at all. What if Hugh Freeze can get Jackson Arnold going? What if Hugh Freeze can do a reverse Bo Nix with him? Because when Bo Nix was at Auburn, he was up and down, and then he goes to Oregon, and all of a sudden he blossoms into one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and he gets drafted in the NFL. Maybe we see that same arc happen with Jackson Arnold, because like with Bo Nix, he was highly touted coming out of high school. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year. He goes to Oklahoma with high expectations, and he underwhelms. He struggled taking care of the football. He was a spotty passer, but Jackson Arnold, not all of his struggles were solely on him. Oklahoma, they were just a terrible situation to be in. Their receiving core and offensive line was depleted before the season even began. They made a bad offensive coordinator hire. And there were just a lot of variables that went into Jackson Arnold performing the way that he did. But going to an offensive-centric coach like a Hugh Freeze, maybe he can be the guy that can get Jackson Arnold playing up to the expectations that was expected of him when he was coming out of high school with all of these accolades and prestige around him. And if Hugh Freeze gets Jackson Arnold going, then watch out for Auburn this year, because not only could they be a contender for the SEC championship, but they definitely could be a playoff team. Every season, there's a team that is going to make it to the playoffs that nobody expects to make it, with it expanding from 4 to 12. Last year, that team was Indiana. This year, why can't that team be Auburn if you can get Jackson Arnold going? And the reason why I'm emphasizing if they can get Jackson Arnold going is because outside of quarterback, Auburn is a playoff caliber team. They got a dynamic wide receiving duo with Eric Singleton, who they got from Georgia Tech, and Cam Coleman entering his second season. They got one of the best offensive lines that they've had in recent memory. They got a really good defensive line. They got a strong group of starters and really good depth. They've recruited several blue chip players on the D-line, and they got a talented secondary with a bunch of guys that received significant playing time as freshmen last year. So when you examine Auburn's schedule, there are 6 games that they should automatically win. Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, on the road at Arkansas, Kentucky is done, and then you got Mercer. So if you can just find a way to beat Oklahoma, Texas A&M on the road, even Missouri should be really good this year, you're looking at being an 8, possibly 9-win team. And in Alabama, look, the Iron Bowl is one of the greatest rivalries in college football. You cannot judge rivalry games simply based off talent. And there's been a few occasions that Auburn these last couple of years have come close to beating Alabama, and yet Alabama found some way to pull a win out of the hat. I remember a few years ago, Nick Saban's final season, Alabama looked like they had that game won, and then all of a sudden, Jalen Milroe throws a prayer to Isaiah Bond and the left corner of the end zone, pretty much a Hail Mary, and Alabama wins the game. And there were 3 games that Alabama lost or Auburn lost in one possession matchups where they should have won. Like, you had no business losing the Cal. There were a few games that just got away from them last year. If they can win those close games this year and they can get really good quarterback play, Auburn could be a 9, possibly 10-win team if everything goes right. And they, once again, can shock college football when we all expect them to be terrible. Because that's just what Auburn football has been throughout my time watching this sport. They've always been really weird. It's like you got to have low expectations if you're an Auburn fan, because you know every time you have high expectations, the team always underachieves. It's like they're better when they're underestimated versus when they actually have the expectations to be a good team. I've just never seen a team as weird as what Auburn is. Their success is just always random. You can never predict when Auburn is going to be a good team, and 2025 could be the year they have one of those weird seasons when they just come out of nowhere and shock us.